So I've made a new file on Vectr. I've signed in using my Google account. I need to make sure that we go down and right off the bat, we're going to go over to the pages palette here and make sure that we change the size of our document from the default, which is a square, to US paper, which is a little bit tall. It's like a rectangle. And you'll see that the workspace will change right off the bat. The very next thing we're going to do is actually a step for the very end, but we will do it now so that way it's already in place. We're going to choose the rectangle tool and we're going to drag a rectangle that covers the entire back. And notice I kind of make it bleed over a little bit. So for the color, you have two options. You can either choose you want to choose one hue, which is just a fancy word for color, green, blue, purple, red, orange, etc. So I'm going to choose purples for mine, but your background can either be a super pale version of that color, or it can be a gradient that also is mostly just a super pale version. So I can click here, I can choose a very, very, very light purple, and then for the darker color, I'm going to choose just a slightly darker purple, but not dark. So it's going to be pretty subtle. And those are your only options. I really prefer the look of it being a solid color, so I'm just going to leave mine this kind of like lavender color. Okay, next, you're going to click on that shape and then make sure you lock it in place. We're going to save this. I'm even going to go over here and tap on the words. I'm going to change that layer to background color, so I know that that'll be later for the background. Now, we need to import our image of the person that we're going to do our portrait of. You're going to hit the upload image button. You're going to go to wherever your folder is. I'm using my Mac right now, so it looks a little bit different. And I'm going to place my image on. You want to make sure that their face is mostly filling up your space, your workspace, and you can zoom out so you can see a little bit better. When you resize, though, always hold down Shift so that way you don't distort your image. And so I am making this so that way it's just mostly my subject's face. And so I'm going to go and put it right there. And then next thing we want to do is make sure over here in the tools, the tool panel, we want to change the opacity to about 50%. That way we can see through it enough to do our tracing work using the pen tool. So once I've changed the opacity, then just like my background layer, I'm going to lock this layer in place. Now I'm ready to start drawing. I'm going to use the pen tool, and for the guy assignment, we were covering black space and we were making shapes basically by just filling in shadows. For this, it's going to be more of what we're used to with a drawing, where we're going to be doing outlines, and we're just going to be tracing the dominant lines. And I want to zoom in again. And again, you can zoom here, and then to move around, if you tap and hold the space bar, you can tap and drag I always start on the eyes just because it's the fastest way to make your person look like a person. And then I'm going to use the pen tool to trace the main lines of her face. And then as I finish those lines, I'm going to hit enter, and that will solidify the lines. I want all of your lines to be, you want to have no fill color. So my background color is turned off. See, the check mark is not checked. And then on the border color, you want to choose whichever. So if I chose purples. So for my border color, I'm going to choose one color. That's going to be all of them. And then it will be down here pretty soon in the recently used. So I'm going to choose this darker purple, and then I want my lines to be somewhere between 5 to 7 pixels. I'm going to choose 7. It's a little bit chunky, and it's going to make it look cool. Okay, so I'm off to a start, and I'm just going to keep going using my pen tool to make different lines. I'm choosing the dominant lines that I see, and I'm basically just glorified tracing. But I do, as I need to go, change it to whatever size I've got. And then if you don't get a photo and a color and recently used, you can see what I just did. I used the eyedropper tool to pick that purple color. And I'm just using that Bezier tool to bend and make my lines. Enter, going up to 7. It's funny, usually it locks in, and for some reason right now it's not. That's okay. I'm not very happy with that, so I'm going to go back and do it again. You want to use the curves as much as humanly possible. And sometimes you saw me do a little cheat there where I didn't use it, and that's okay. And if you do this where you flub your line, you can actually still use that. They don't all have to be connected and beautiful. And again, I'm hitting enter to say I'm done with that line. And this is pretty stylized, so this is not going to be necessarily, it's not going to look like real life. You're not doing a real photorealistic portrait. So I'm just trying to find the dominant lines here. And so to kind of get this eye shine here, I'm going to do this little blooper there. Enter. And so I'm going to zoom out really quick just so you can see that I have an eye here. It does exist, and I can turn off the image. And I'm starting to get something. There's definitely some lines here I need to work on. There's more going on. So I'm going to work on this for a bit, and then I'll unpause my recording so you can see where I'm going. So I've decided as I work to change the line thickness to 5. I think I'm going to require 5. So when you look in the assignment, let's just keep it at 5. I've been working around. I have a whole lot of paths here, and you can see that I'm starting to get somewhere. When I turn off my image again, I can see, yep, there's a portrait emerging. So I want to, I just wanted to show you something before I pause again. Working with a nose. A lot of us are going to want to, we're just going to be kind of trained to trace we know there's a nose here, we want to trace it, but you're only tracing dominant lines. So you're only tracing things that are darker that we can see. And there is nothing right here. So we're not going to put any line right there, but you can see on my shadow, there's definitely a line there. Definitely a line here for her cheek. And sometimes it'll remember your settings, sometimes it won't. There's definitely a shadowy line here. I'm going to put that there. Get that up to 5. And then as I work around her nose, also there's a nostril line here. But notice it does not, I'm not going to make it go all the way around because it doesn't, there's no line right here. And then obviously her lips are very well defined, so I need to do that. I'm going to zoom back out just to take a look. And remember, as you work, you're going to turn off your image so that way you can kind of see where things are going. Right now it looks kind of like a funny mustache, but I'll keep going and I'll see what I can get done. So this is a little bit different version of this, but it's my previous version. And you can see I have all my dominant lines made. You know, I probably have some work I could do in the hair here, but I'm pretty close to finish. And I've added, added some more as I've gone. I'm going to turn my image off really quick, and you can see that I am pretty confident. I do want to make sure my background color is there, which is not correct. So I'm going to unlock that and select that layer. It should be my light purple, right? There we go. And This is pretty close to a finished portrait right here. This would be acceptable to turn in. Again, you might want to turn in some extra lines, do some work. And what you're going to turn in is the photo that you used, and I want you to, this time, you're actually going to link me. You're going to copy this, and you're going to turn in the link as well. You're going to turn it a PNG. I'm going to make sure this is called portrait. Make sure we save out a PNG, and then you're also going to turn in right here. So I've changed it to PNG and I can download it, but you're also going to turn in the link to your file so that way I can look at your layers just to check and see how you're doing. Okay, good luck.